Good morning, Dylan. Yes, we are both out here bright and early, and as you can tell, there's a lot of excitement going on behind us. There are so many people out here at the Wichita Falls Area Community Foundation that are so stoked to get Texoma Gives underway, the ninth annual year, and it is a 16-hour event, so it's going to be a lot of fun. You have to go. You were getting in the zone when I talked to you a little bit earlier, so good luck today, and thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate it. Thank you again.
Yes, well, it is very exciting, and like we see, this is not just a race. This is a community. This is something that is so special to not just Wichita Falls, but people across the country and across the globe, like Tobin was saying a little bit earlier.
Emily Faith is live. Well, I thought she was. Oh, there she is right there. Good morning, Emily. Where are you at? What are you doing?
Good morning. I'm here at Legacy High School, home of the Leopards, if you didn't know. It's right there. But this is such an exciting day. You can feel the excitement and the anticipation of the students, the teachers, the faculty, the staff that are pulling up here, dropping kids off to come in for their first day of school in this new high school. Now, this is a beautiful building. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous. Good morning. And yes, I'm right here on the winner's podium. I'm getting pretty comfortable in this first place spot. It feels pretty nice, and I'm sure for whoever the winners are today for the Wichita bike races, they're going to feel pretty comfortable up here as well. Now, this is near the starting line, and actually back here in the barn where those lights are, that is where the late registration and packet pickup for racers is going to be. So whenever you get here at the J.S. Bridwell Ag Center in downtown, you're just going to walk right in there. There are tables set up and people ready to help you. We are out here, and this is just such a fun event. We're cooking out, all right? There is hamburgers, there's hot dogs, there is so much good food to eat, and there's also some games here. We've got a ring toss and whatnot all here for people to check out and take part in. Just such a great event for an incredible cause. If you don't know, the ARC of Wichita County strives to empower those with disabilities in our community, and they also work to make things more accessible and more inclusive in the area. And I'm here at the Elks Lodge. There's a lot of excitement going on in the room behind me, and I'll give you a sneak peek of that in a second. But when you come into this building, first off, you're going to be greeted by our very own Carney Porter and Daryl Franklin. So we have the whole crew out here today. But if you follow me, we're going to come right through here. And as you can see, it is extremely busy today. And we are, there we go. We've got this amazing food line. Like Jalen said, there are hamburgers, there's hot dogs, there's pulled pork sandwiches. We have drinks. I'm right here at Vernon College, and behind me in this room is where the celebration is happening. Now, Women's Equality Day is something that is recognized every single year, and it has been since President Nixon actually signed a proclamation that August 26th should be named Women's Equality Day to commemorate women gaining the right to vote 104 years ago. And it's not just on the national level, it's right here on the local level too. During the city council meeting on Tuesday, Mayor Tim Short actually gave another proclamation this year to the League of Women's Voters. Things are going great out here. We are in the thick of this event now. It goes until 9 p.m. and we have a special guest here with us. We've got Staff Sergeant Charlie Rowland here, and he's an avionics instructor at Shepherd Air Force Base. So go ahead and tell us about the excitement behind the air show that's happening tomorrow. It's the first time in a few years since it's been here. So how's everybody on base feeling about it?
Everyone's super excited. It's been a lot of planning, a lot of work. We've been planning as far as I've been concerned since January. I know the base has been playing a lot longer. It's the first one in 5 years. So obviously with COVID, we haven't had to have one in a while. So we're really looking forward to it.
So I know there's a lot of things happening tomorrow as far as events, what people can take part in and see. Tell us some of the highlights that people are going to be able to do tomorrow.
Well, we have 15 different static aircraft on the ground that people can take pictures with and touch. We've got the F-35 demo team coming to Shepherd for the first time. Of course, the Thunderbirds will be here. They'll be here tonight. You can come out and meet them. Just a lot of things to look forward to.
You mentioned that that Cruz was up in the polls, but that Allred is keeping it close. Can you elaborate a little more on what Allred is doing to keep the race close?
So one of those things that the Allred campaign is doing really, really well in is fundraising. Allred has outraised Cruz's campaign by millions, especially this past quarter. So that is part of why he's been able to keep it close. He's been able to use those fundraising dollars for different promotion and advertising efforts, for different spotlights on his campaign. So that's why he has been able to keep this such a tight race. Now, something important to note is the Federal Election Commission actually released a few days ago though, that both of these campaigns, if you combine them together in the fundraising amounts, they have hit the $100 million mark, which makes this one of the most expensive races in America this election cycle, which is extremely impressive. But those fundraising dollars are certainly keeping Allred in the running. Good morning, Jalen. Yes, I'm here at Mercy Church off McNeil. Now, the polls just opened a couple of minutes ago. We saw a line of people out here that were waiting, and as soon as 7 o'clock hit, they were able to go into the polling location here. Now, if you're wondering, where do I go to cast my vote today? Well, there are a plethora of options for you all across the Texoma region. And right here in Wichita County alone, there are 20 polling locations, so there's definitely not a shortage of those around the area. Now, Jalen, I'm here on base, and they are getting ready right behind me for the ceremony, which is going to happen at 7 o'clock this morning. Now, this ceremony is all about honoring not just 9/11 itself, but especially the first responders and also all of the lives that were lost during the tragic attack on September 11th, 23 years ago. It's going to be a very special and very sentimental ceremony here, and we'll be keeping you updated with all of that. But really quick, right here behind me, you can actually see this statue, this piece of rubble from the Twin Towers on 9/11. Now, they said that this was brought here by some firefighters, so this is actually a piece of history that is right here in Wichita Falls at Shepherd Air Force Base. Carney, I'm standing here right outside of WFAA in downtown Dallas, and that is where this big Texas Senate debate is going to be held tonight between Ted Cruz and Colin Allred. Now, this is the first and the only time that we are seeing these two candidates meet face-to-face and go head-to-head on a debate stage of this election cycle. So what that also means is that this is the first and only time voters here in Texas are going to hear from both of them on the exact same stage at the same time. And they're going to be speaking about key issues like immigration, reproductive rights, health care, gun control, school safety. All of these issues that we are seeing are very popular with voters during this election cycle. Recent polls have come out earlier today. According to The Hill, as of a few hours ago, Ted Cruz is leading Colin Allred by about 3 points, and that's within the margin of error. So this race is getting tighter and tighter the closer we get to November 5th on Election Day. So tonight is going to be a very big deal because this could give some of the undecided voters some answers or help give them what they're looking for in a candidate to see both of them speak and debate tonight. But for now, in Dallas, Emily Faith. Good morning, Jalen. And yes, so last night was highly anticipated by not just voters here in Texas, but across the country as these two candidates met face-to-face for the first and only time this election cycle. Now, I won't lie, things got a little heated at points in that studio last night, as we see some debates do, but we certainly did learn a lot about each of these candidates, their stances on policy, and how they plan to address the concerns of voters. The Texas Senate debate was almost as intense as the race itself.
You know, when Ted Cruz starts talking about team sports, you got to watch out because the only position he ever played was left out.
You
can jump in after me. Yeah, that's fine.
This is
not the United States. I'm not yielding my time. It's fine. It's fine.
Don't engage each other.
No, I'm going to ask you a question. You can answer when you have time.
Gentlemen,
but the point is,
each candidate taking a different approach to the boxing match. Senator Ted Cruz laser focused on records.
So I want to be very clear. If you listen to Congressman Allred's answer, at no point did he make any reference to his own record.
Congressman Colin Allred keeping his eye on relatability and being likable.
Let's talk about inflation because, you know, I was raised by a single mom who's a public school teacher in a state where we don't pay our teachers enough. And so I know what it's like to go through the grocery store line and swipe your debit card and just say a little prayer and hope that this week you can afford it.
Lots of answers were given throughout the night, but there were some key topics that went left unanswered by both candidates. For Cruz, that hot button topic was about reproductive rights and making exceptions for abortion.
I agree with the United States Supreme Court that under our Constitution, the way we resolve questions like that, questions on which we have real and genuine disagreements, is at the ballot box.
And for Allred, he deflected the question about supporting and co-sponsoring legislation that allows boys to participate in girls' sports.
She thinks it's perfectly reasonable that if a girl is raped by a relative of hers, a victim of incest, that she should be forced to carry that child to term and give birth to it. You think that's perfectly reasonable, but now you're going to set yourself up as a protector of women and girls, it's laughable.
Between the fiery bickering as they tried to undermine one another,
He's been one of the most divisive senators in the entire country.
Congressman Allred and Kamala Harris are both running on the same radical agenda.
both candidates fought even harder for the votes of Texans, hoping to prove that they will always be pro-Texas and work to serve the people.
We're all Americans and we're all Texans. We need a leader who will bring us together around our shared values.
I will fight to keep Texas, Texas.
Senator.
And language can be a powerful way of connecting not just with one another, but also with our history and our identity. That's something that Native American tribes know well as they continue to reconnect with the language that became lost. I spoke with the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes of Oklahoma about the work they're doing to restore and revitalize their native languages. Language. It's part of every culture across the globe. But for Native Americans, words are more than just, well, words. Gordon Yellowman, the tribal historian for the Cheyenne and the Arapaho tribes, explains that their native language is alive in their culture and is a big part of their identity.
The Cheyenne Arapaho language is very important because it's one of the things that is part of our identity as Cheyenne people. Natista and Arapaho people, Hanana'e, Hanana'e. That's how you would say that in Arapaho. It's part of our identity, our cultural way of life, our ceremonial way of life, and just the way we lived.
Tragically, both languages became somewhat lost after the U.S. government created and supported over 400 Native American boarding schools across the country from 1819 to 1969. The boarding schools had one purpose: to forcefully strip Native Americans of their culture and heritage, including their language, in an effort to, quote, civilize indigenous students.
And that's where it began. And they took away our language at these boarding schools. They told us not to speak Cheyenne. They told us not to speak Arapaho. And that hurt us because that's all we knew.
Tens of thousands of children endured abuse for speaking the words they had been taught since birth.
If they spoke their language, they would put soap in their mouth. You are not to speak your language, you are to speak English. And that's hurtful. It's painful.
Through it all, Yellowman believes that their language is what kept their culture alive and helped them to survive.
For us as Cheyenne, we spoke our language because that's the beauty of who we are as Native people. It empowers us to be sacred.
Now, Native American tribes across the country are just beginning to scratch the surface of restoring what was taken from them. The Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes have created numerous initiatives to bring their native languages back to life. Technology has become a massive tool for teachers as they host classes over Zoom to reach people within indigenous communities and in the public, too.
Zoom classes, virtual classes in Cheyenne language for all of our people, and even the public, those that are interested in learning to speak. That virtual class helped us advance, and we now utilize that as a tool to reach the communities. They don't even have to physically come here into the tribal office or the Head Start centers.
They've also leveraged the use of television and media to teach their languages. Cheyenne and Arapaho Productions has created a few programs.
Hurry, friends. The storm's almost here.
Including a children's show called Fry Bread Flats that introduces children to the native languages and teaches them about significant parts of their culture, like animals, tribal stories, and life lessons.
Those students are going home speaking to their parents in the Cheyenne Arapaho language. And that just makes me so happy to hear that, to hear your grandkids say thank you, to hear your grandkids say sit down, to hear your grandkids say welcome.
While it hasn't been easy reteaching and revitalizing their native languages, the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes continue working each day to restore their culture and teach the younger generations about their history, where they come from, and most importantly, who they are.
This language is alive. It's a living, breathing element, a culture element of our people. And when we speak it, it comes from our body, our heart, our lungs. And that's the beauty of it. It's part of us. We're still here. And language is going to be our key to the future.
Now, if you would like to learn the Cheyenne or the Arapaho languages, then you can contact the language department at 405-422-7569 to get enrolled in virtual classes hosted through Zoom every week. And you can also download their language app on your computer, tablet, or mobile device. Just search for Cheyenne Arapaho in the App Store to download.